Okay, good evening and welcome to council. Monday, March 26, 2018. Call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. As always, I'd ask you to turn off or silence your mobile devices so we can go into our meetings without any interruptions. And as always, right off the beginning of the meeting, we always try to do a safety share. And this evening, Councillor Stone is going to share the safety share with us.
So, since it's clearly starting to turn into spring outside, it's important we do the spring safety share and 10 safety tips for spring. Do not rush because you are tired or in a hurry. Spring cleaning can be tiring work. Take breaks, drink a glass of water, sit under a nice cool fan and rest instead of being unsafe. Be careful moving large pieces of furniture and appliances. Use proper lifting techniques, keeping your back straight, lifting with your legs, and wear shoes that don't hurt your feet. And ask for help when needed. Be safe while on a ladder and step stool. Do not lean too far to either side. A good rule of thumb is your belly button should not go beyond the sides of the ladder. Also have someone available to hold the ladder and steady it for you, if possible. Be careful when walking on wet surfaces. Everybody knows it's easy to slip on wet floors. Make sure you take the proper precautions to keep yourself from falling. Keep stairways, landings, and walkways clear of boxes, bags, and other clutter. Spring cleaning is a great time for decluttering your home, but you need to make sure all boxes and bags of stuff you are getting rid of don't cause safety concerns. Don't carry too much stuff at once, especially on stairs. Make sure you keep your hands free to hold on to the stair railing, and always make sure you can see over what you're carrying so you don't trip. Always follow cleaning product label safety instructions. Cleaning supplies can create nasty fumes, so make sure you ventilate properly, in addition to not mixing the chemicals. Just use one product at a time. Wear a mask when cleaning dusty areas. This may seem like overkill, but for people who have allergies to dust, it's a very important thing to do. Do not leave buckets full of water around your house. Even when taking a quick break, make sure you empty and clean the bucket. Put it in an inaccessible area. Use small amounts of water of draining the chemicals in the bucket. Put away all cleaning supplies when you're done with them. Cleaning supplies are quite dangerous to have around children, pets. Put cleaning products away as soon as you're done using them.
Good. Thank you for that. And get right into the agenda. Any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening? I'm just going to add a couple on the end for announcements. Anything else?
I'll just give a brief report on my
Yep. So under council report?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Hearing none. Okay. I have a motion here that council hereby accepts the agenda for Monday, March 26, 2018, regular meeting of council as circulated or amended. Moved by Councillor Fox, second by Councillor Zingra. Any questions? Hearing none, call question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Any disclosures of interest this evening? Hearing none. I have a motion here from the previous minutes, council, that we adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on Monday, March the 12th, 2018, as circulated or amended. Moved by Councillor Lake, second by Councillor Zingra. Any questions, errors, or omissions on those minutes? Hearing none, call a question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, council reports. Councillor Fox, Thunder Bay District Health Unit.
Sure. Last Wednesday, I attended the meeting. Thank you. It started out with an education session on indigenous cultural competency. The health unit is going through a training program right now, bringing themselves up to date. We're still discussing about having a person on the board. It seems to be difficult to get one. We had one a couple of years ago, and that individual stepped down, and we haven't been able to replace them since. We went into a closed meeting on human resources issues. It was rather lengthy. We approved the employee group benefit program, which costs $123,000. That goes out for tender. We went out for tender. It was the same group. It's just a matter of two different companies that will do it anyway. So that's good until March of 19. We renewed our membership partnership with the library. It's the Hub Library. It's all in the health issues. There's two of us that get together and put that together. We had reports from the Alpha meeting that was held in February 23rd in Toronto. This is where I go to one of those every 3 or 4 years. I didn't go to this one. We nominated Maria Harding to sit as or to apply to be an Alpha member for the years 2018 through to 2020. We had a brief report on the facilities. Dr. DeMille has requested that if we have any more information that we want to pass on when we go through an orientation program, to do so. And that's pretty much about it.
Good. Thank you. Any questions, Councillor Fox? Hearing none. Thank you for that report. And move right into student council reports. Councillor Stone.
So on the 20th, our school is having its second annual Wakeathon. To participate in the Wakeathon for students, you must bring in $40. The money will be going towards the sports team's fund, and you can either raise the $40 for having people to donate, see how long you'll be able to stay up through the Wakeathon, or you can just bring in the $40. But $40 is the minimum donation. It goes on from 7:30 p.m. to 8 a.m. the next day. And yeah, it's to help raise money for sports teams. Starting tomorrow, there's OSLT studies. They will be studying how to do the OSLT test for the grade 10s. The days that they will be doing the lunchtime studies is the 27th of March, the 29th of March, the 3rd of April, and the 5th of April. Pizza will be provided for the people who come to study.
Good, thank you. Councillor Wisnik, you have anything to update us with?
Okay, so before March break, so about 3 weeks ago, there was the cardboard boat races. I think they were in Waterloo. And our teams came in 2nd place and 9th place. And their pictures are up in the school and on the Facebook page if anyone is interested in looking. And that's all I have for now.
Good, thank you. Thanks. Congratulations to the teams for doing so well. It always looks like so much fun. Cardboard races. Okay, CEO report on the Marathon Senior Supportive Housing Corporation. Daryl.
So in 2015, the Marathon Senior Supportive Housing Corporation was federally incorporated by the Senior Supportive Housing Committee, at the time with a mandate to provide services associated with aging to individuals, including housing. The Senior Supportive Housing Complex, which is currently being built, will ultimately reside within the Supportive Housing Corporation. While the corporation was incorporated and does exist on paper, no corporate bylaws or minute book for the corporation were completed. So since the beginning of 2018, town administration has been working with the North Superior Healthcare Group Administration to create the governance structure for the Housing Corporation, which will ultimately govern the physical asset. Town administration has now received the full set of bylaws from the town's legal counsel. Key governance tenets within the corporate bylaws include that the board is comprised of 5 members, which will include 3 members appointed by the town and 2 members appointed by NOSH. Execution of documents, establishing banking arrangements and borrowing powers, annual financial reporting, meeting governance and rules, and the appointment of officers. There are no financial implications associated with this particular report, but there are 2 important financial implications that should be noted. The Articles of Incorporation for the Supportive Housing Corporation state that the property remaining on liquidation shall be distributed to the corporation of the town of Marathon. This is important as it gives the municipality the ability to liquidate or sell the asset if council chose to do so in the future. And while the draft operating budget for the Supportive Housing Corporation does not propose an operating deficit, in the event there was a deficit in a fiscal year, it would be the responsibility of the town and NOSH to administer that deficit. So your administration is recommending that 2 members of council and the CAO clerk be appointed as the town members to the Marathon Senior Supportive Housing Corporation Board of Directors. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that report. I do have a motion here that council hereby accepts the attached report and recommendation of the Marathon Senior Supportive Housing Corporation, and for that 2 members of council and the CEO clerk be appointed as members of the town of Marathon Senior Supportive Housing reps for the Board of Directors. Moved by Councilor Lake, second by Councilor Debuchy. Questions? Councilor Fox? No?
No.
Okay. So with that being said, we need to appoint the members of council. So who's stepping up to the plate?
I would certainly be interested in that.
Okay. So Councilor Lake was one of the charter members as well as myself. And if somebody else wants to step up, that's great, but I definitely will take on that role for now. We were the charter members as well as Dr. Elliot Rancha for the onset of the corporation. So there will just be a transition of us going forward for that. And then, of course, NOSH will appoint 2 members from their operation. Councilor Debuchy?
I think it's appropriate that at least one of the members be the mayor. So I think it's important that you sit on it for this, at least for the length of our term anyway.
Okay. So with that being said, I'll incorporate Councilor Lake and Mayor Dumas's name on this resolution, so that it's noted. Any other comments, questions? So, Councilor Debuchy?
Is the CAO, would that be appropriate? Because are you not part of the management structure or the incorporating of the management structure?
No, there's no conflict. It's actually recommended by our legal counsel. But myself and the administrator from NOSH sit on the board.
Okay. Good. And this, as Darrell mentioned, this was all brought through legal already prior to this this motion being presented. Okay. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Up next, we have administrative reports. Report on 2017 drinking water wastewater report system. Good evening, Brian.
Good evening, Your Worship, members of council. I'm presenting the 2017 drinking water wastewater system report. The following reports are attached and are submitted to council for information purposes. Annual inspection report from the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change for 2016-2017. Schedule 22, Section 11 Annual Summary Report for 2017 submitted by Northern Water, and the 2017 Annual Report Wastewater Treatment Plant submitted by Northern Water. Complete copies of the reports are available for public to view at Town Hall and on the municipality's website. Following are highlights from the information submitted and other developments during 2017. As indicated in the annual inspection report from the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, the town received an overall inspection risk rating of 0%, which translates into a final inspection rating of 100%. The perfect rating is a result of the diligent efforts by Northern Water operators and the town's own distribution licensed operators. No provincial orders were written as a result of the MOE inspections. As indicated in the 2017 Schedule 22 Annual Summary, a review of treated samples shows that the plant produces excellent quality water that exceeds all provincial standards. Daily flow rates do not exceed permitted values as listed in our permit to take water. Production totals of all 5 wells compared to the rated maximums indicate we operated at 29% of capacity. As indicated in the 2017 Section 11 Annual Report, no adverse water quality was reported during the inspection period, and all inorganic parameter sampling results were well within provincial standards. The distribution system became eligible for reduced schedule lead testing after 4 consecutive rounds of testing well within provincial standards. We only test for lead in the distribution system now that we are exempt from residential sampling. All sampling is on schedule, with the next set of samples due by October. The town submitted the DWQMS for distribution to SAI Global for auditing and received full scope accreditation October 1, 2013, and renewed in 2016 with an expiry of September 2019. Our drinking water MOE-ECC license was renewed in 2016 and is valid until February 2021. The Treatment Operating Authority, Northern Waterworks, was originally accredited in April 2014. They will undergo an audit for reaccreditation in 2018. And as indicated in the 2017 wastewater treatment plant report, the system has a hydraulic capacity of 4,400 cubic meters daily average. Average flows for 2017 were 1,018 cubic meters daily, or 23% of rated capacity. There were no bypasses, overflows, fills, spills, or abnormal discharge events during the reported period. Under normal conditions, the wastewater treatment plant was capable of consistently meeting all objectives and compliance limits for effluent to receiving waters, except for total phosphorus levels. Total phosphorus exceedances will be addressed in 2018 when the alum injection system is brought online. The necessary equipment has been installed while awaiting the ECA approval. Your administration is presenting the 2017 Drinking Water and Wastewater System Report for information purposes only.
Thank you for that, Brian. There is no resolution or motion, so I'll ask if there are any questions of Brian in that regards. So as we talked about in the past, you did 4 consecutive rounds of lead testing in the residential. When are they going to stop doing the testing period for lead?
I don't think it ever stops.
Really?
It'll never stop.
And our system's got very little, if any, lead. You got a few little joints here and there, right?
Well, no, we've proven that there are no residential connection with lead. That's the most important
Right.
part.
Okay.
And then the distribution samples are random. We have to keep moving those around.
Okay. Is there a huge cost to that, Brian, to the municipality?
Not necessarily,
Okay.
no.
Well, it's one of those things, I mean, if there's no visible signs of it, why would we continue to do it, right?
It's mandatory.
A lot of things are mandatory, but it doesn't make sense in communities that are not of age. Like typically lead would be in communities of like age of 100 years or better in their distribution systems, right?
Right. Yeah, apparently Thunder Bay has
Yeah.
quite a bit of lead.
Yeah, it's quite an old community, quite an old system, so that makes sense, right? But anyway, that's good. As long as it's not costing us a whole lot of money, that's fine. And it's always, we look out for the best interest of the community and the drinking waters that we supply, but at the same time, there's wasting money is foolishness sometimes. Okay. Anybody else? Thank you for that report, Brian. Up next, got a report on council remuneration. It's 2017 expenses. Good evening, Chuck.
Evening, Mayor and Council. In accordance with Section 284 of the Municipal Act, the Treasurer shall submit a statement of remuneration and expenses paid to each member of Council in the preceding year. We follow 3 policies for these expenses: Council remuneration, municipal vehicle use, and travel expenses for members of Council and staff. Total remuneration and expenses paid to Council in 2017 was $83,198. The amount included in the 2017 budget was $97,500. Therefore, expenditures are $14,304 less than budgeted. In addition, the Municipal Act requires that remuneration and expenses paid by anyone must be reported. So last year, Mayor Dumas received $2,049 from NOMA, and Councillor Fox received $3,851 from the Thunder Bay District Health Unit. Reports presented for information only.
Thank you for that. Do you have any questions, anybody? No? Well, it's a budget that was less. There was some less travel, and we set up a policy where we reduced the council's travel in the past to 2 each for council going to Ogra and Amo. So it showed that there's a saving in there as well. So we'll continue to keep our budget within check, and I think we have this council for at least this term, and prior terms has always been under budget in regards to their costing. So, Councilor Lake.
Yeah, I think I would say though we've been under budget, which is a good thing. But I think it's still really important that we're sending our CAO and our mayor at least to Ogra and to NOMA AMO, because those are the conversations you have with the ministers, and I think we've seen over the last few years, those conversations have led to really good things for the municipality. And there's always that pressure, right, to not spend money, not spend money, not spend money, but I think those are essential meetings for municipal politicians, and I realize I don't go to many of those, so I appreciate that, particularly the mayor, and I know Councillor Fox goes to some, and the CAO go. Like, they're important, but I'm happy to say we don't all need to go, but somebody needs to go.
Councillor DeBoucher?
I would just like to make one other recommendation or whatever. One of the things we're not a member of is the communities or Great Lakes Communities Associations, and I think it's something that maybe not this council because it's late in our tenure, but the future council should consider that as part of another organization we should be part of. I think the benefits we saw, and I always advocated that we become part of the federal municipalities. I think when we joined that and we discovered we were eligible for significant funding to the green plan for that, it just kind of strengthens the fact that we get more information from those bigger organizations. And I really think it's important that being on Lake Superior and in a sense trying to develop our position as being a port city, close to rail, close to community, or the things there, that we look at joining those federations that have the wide scope. So I think it's something that administration I would ask they look into for the next council to really consider that as part of the ongoing group that we also join.
Yes, thank you for that. We have discussed that in the past. It was just the cost of these conferences are typically in the American side of the lake. Very few conferences are actually held on the Canadian side of the lake, and you're talking like Chicago and Marquette and places where they're a lot further away to travel. I know, and we always try to keep an eye on the dollar. There are benefits, and you're right, Canadian Federation of Municipalities. As soon as we joined, we received a $50,000 grant. So the benefit really $700 membership, $50,000 grant. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I'm not advocating that we travel to every one of the conferences on the Great Lakes system, but it's important to see how other communities along the Great Lakes have accessed monies through the cleanup procedures and the port developments and stuff like that. And if and when we ever get possession of a dock in Marathon, I think the Port Authority is something that we really need to explore.
Okay, so with that being said, rather than waiting for the next council's election, I think we'd ask administration to at least bring back the information in regards to the membership fee on an annual basis, and then we can decide whether or not we want to defer that to the 2019 council for membership joining. Just give an idea what a cost is. Appreciate that. Anybody else?
Is that the binational forum? Is that
Lake Superior Binational Forum is part of it, and I think it's the Great Lakes Forum, and Lake Superior is a big part of it. So I'm not 100% sure the exact name of it now. Councilor Fox? It is a mayor's group, but it's the mayors out in the Great Lakes, and the Great Lakes is what's the actual name? I'm not 100% sure.
I believe Binational Coalition was disbanded because it no longer received funding.
I'm not too sure of the name exactly, but we could check it out and maybe just have at least a verbal report of what the actual agency is called and what the fee is for membership. Thanks for that, Councilor Touche. Okay, thanks for that report, Chuck. Appreciate it. Up next, I have a motion on check run. Check run in the amounts of accounts payable for $608,242.72 and payroll in the amount of $139,421.14. Moved by Councillor Fox, second by Councillor Lake. Any questions, or errors, or omissions? Hearing none, I'll call a question. All in favor? Guys in favor of that check run? Thank you very much. So we had a motion that was needed in regards to Northern Ontario Heritage Fund, and this is a motion in regards to the Northwestern Advancing the Northwestern Economic Development through Energy Competitiveness Project Phase 2, which includes completing the front-end engineering and design FEED program, obtaining all governmental, regulatory, and other third-party approvals, consents, orders, and authorizations required to construct and operate the local distribution facilities and deliver natural gas to customers. LNG. Just and further that the conditional financial contribution of $100,000 from the town of Marathon be put forward as a project's cost contingent upon equal financial support from the other four municipalities of Terrace Bay, Schreiber, Manitowoc, and Wawa, Ontario, for a total sum of $500,000 90% financial support from the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund will be asked for, and confirmation construction of the liquefied natural gas in Nipigon area will be pending. So, with that being said, I need to move in a second, put that on the floor. Councillor Lake, second, Councillor Debussy. Questions? Councillor Lake.
This would be $100,000 from each of those charter municipalities in order to access money from
Heritage.
Heritage.
So our request was for 4.5 million from the Heritage Fund, and our contribution will be 10%, which is the 500,000.
Okay, and is it contingent on all the other councils saying?
We're the last one to pass the motion. The other four already have.
They all have? Great,
Yes.
thank you.
All good? Okay, so with that being said, I'll call a question. All in favor? Carried. And this has been identified in the 2018 budget. We have a resolution from, well, actually, there's the one prior to, as members, I'll give you this one, Daryl, as members will decide on the winner of the Senior Supportive Housing Naming Contest, which was handed us to earlier on in the evening. So this was submitted out a couple weeks back, a month back. Go ahead, Daryl.
Yeah, sure. So obviously, we followed a council-approved process where the public had an opportunity to bring forward names they thought should be associated with the facility. And from there, there was a committee put in place between council and the North Superior Healthcare Group that whittled that down to 3. For the last week, we had those 3 names on our website, and they were Lake Superior Supportive Housing, Peninsula Manor, and Superior Gardens. And the public had an opportunity to vote on those 3 names. And the one that received 43% of the vote that was put forward was Peninsula Manor, and that was submitted by Julie Amadeo.
So with that being said, is that the name that we're going to be going with after all this process?
That's council's final decision to make. I would certainly recommend we followed a public process, so that would be administration's recommendation.
Okay. So I don't have the actual motion in front of me, but I think that we could either defer this to the April meeting, or we can pass a motion here tonight and we'll get the clerk to write it up, and I'll just sign it off on tomorrow. Is that fair? Yeah. So Councillor Lake?
I'm wondering if the one thing we might want to do is, I know at that public meeting you struck a citizens committee for the actual tenants.
We haven't yet. We will be.
I just wonder about, I know we need to get the look and feel and the logos going, but it'd be nice just to get their nod as well, because it's, but I guess that won't be done in time.
That could be, no, that could be way out in the summer by the time that's even up and running.
I think that it was the process.
And realistically, we're moving into April. We need to get things over for the October opening.
Peninsula Manor it is.
Anything else? So, Councillor Fox, your mic on there, sir? Your mic.
The word manor, that always reminds me just of an old age home, or is there actual, did anyone actually look up the name manor, and does it refer to as an old age home?
This is pure. This isn't a regulatory name. The only name we need to avoid is either long-term care or retirement, because they have physical connotations in terms of Ontario regs.
Okay.
So just to be clear, we went through a process.
Yep.
The processes had been identified. It was voted on. It was publicly inputted, and this is the name that has the highest percentage of results. Councillor Lake.
My only question would be about the Canadian U. Is Manor one of those OR is American, OUR is Canadian?
Why don't we?
I would want to check that first.
Yeah, we'll certainly follow up with Councillor Fox's question as well as Councillor Lake's question, and we will bring this back at the first meeting in April.
Okay, so, and if it is the name, we will have a nice letter thanking the individual for the name coming up and supported by council. Okay? So it will be brought back in the April meeting for a resolution and support at that time. Thank you. With those clarities. I do have a motion here now for, under new business, a request has been submitted from the City of Hamilton. Council hereby support the attached resolution received from the City of Hamilton pertaining to the Town of Essex resolution regarding the offering of school properties to the municipalities. And further, that a copy of this motion be forwarded to individuals listed on the originating resolution. Moved by Councilor Lake, second by Councilor Bushi. Questions? I wish we would have discussed this a few years back.
Okay.
Councilor Bushi.
There is a process by which that's offered to each community or each level of government, and I can't remember how it works. I believe it's the opposite school board, then the Ontario government, then whatever. However, it's all based on the market value assessed by the impact and the Ontario Realty Corp. I cannot support this unless they're going to offer us a $379,999 refund on the fact that we paid for the property. So this has been in existence forever, this process, and I understand the idea behind the community having these schools as part of their center. However, a lot of schools have been converted over into other developments that actually pay taxes. They've been changed into residential apartments. They've been changed into assisted living complexes. So there are business opportunities also for it that also generate tax revenue. So I don't think it's appropriate that certain communities or you get something for nothing. It's, it wasn't part of our municipal budget, and I don't think it should be part of the overall structure for how you get rid of excess property.
Okay. Anybody else? I guess if you read one part of the paragraph, it talks about the double dipping aspect in regards to the provincial government asking municipalities to pay the fair market value on a property that's already been paid for by the taxpayers of Ontario, whether it's that municipality or any municipality. So I think the common sense here is that we shouldn't be paying twice. Similar to you talk to an individual who sold or bought a car 6 times and you pay tax on it 6 times, not really fair and equitable. So you look at those examples as well. With that being said, does anybody else have a comment in regards to the actual resolution? Councilor Lake?
Maybe just a question to administration, because this, very well could be something that happens in our community, right? We have 3 school buildings. You could certainly see in the future one of them, our schools amalgamating. What would the needs of the municipality, the procedure be for us?
Well, Councillor Tabushi did highlight the process. So the legislation is very clear that it does go to, so a school that's declared surplus goes to the neighboring school board if they're interested, then the municipality, then it goes out to the public for tender, and it is based on fair market value. So I guess our response would be, there's always the opportunity to say no, you don't want it, right? And then it does go out to the public for potentially the most competitive process available. So I'm not sure, if this makes sense for Marathon. I think it's, if you identify the property like we did when we looked at the Stillwater opportunity, the return on the investment was going to be significant. Now, unfortunately, that project fell through, right? But generally, when you make that purchase, it does have an ROI attached to it. So it's a good business decision. So I think to Councillor Tabushi's point, that's what you want. You want business decisions driving the disposal of these surplus properties.
Yeah, the one point that you got to look at in regards to the resolution is that they're requesting that the request of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, ROMA, and all other municipalities in Ontario requesting that when school boards make decisions to close schools, that they then have to offer the buildings and properties to local municipalities for $1 first. That is, I don't really agree with that part of the resolution, just to say, because if the other school board wants it, then it should go through that process. So if they're allowing that regulatory process to stay in place, then it goes to the municipality with the option of refusing it, that's fine. If they're not, they're superseding it, saying it should go to municipality right off the bat, then that's not what we want either. So the clarity is not there. It's just basically saying it goes to the municipality for $1. We fully appreciate, like when we picked up the property here, if it was given back to us for $1, we would have took it no problem. But it's, again, we spent more taxpayers' dollar to acquire property that taxpayers have already paid for. So, I'll call the question. All in favor of this resolution? Against? Sounds like she's defeated. Okay. Announcements. There was one in regards to the, as you know, the Marathon Public Library has been going through some minor renovations, some updates, changing and cleaning and painting, and some reconfiguring of some of the facilities, areas of bookshelves and all that. Sounds like it's going to be all done by April 3rd, and you're back open for regular business. and everybody will see a nice, new, bright, clean, and reshuffled library with good programming going on. So that's what we'd like to hear. Thank you very much. So that will be open April 3rd. So that'll be next Monday. So thanks a lot, and so hopefully that nobody was, oh, it's Tuesday, right? Sorry, Monday's a holiday. So Tuesday, April 3rd, it will be reopened, and nobody had too much of an inconvenience in that regard for the facility being closed. So enjoy the library and utilize it as much as you can. We were going to have an in-camera meeting, but that has been rescheduled for the April session. So with that being said, we'll call meeting adjourned at 7:35 p.m. Need a mover and seconder. Councilor Lake, seconded by Councilor Ingram. Thank you and have a good night.